News, your news and governance channel. My name is Shirley Annan.
The world.
On the 10th of September each year, the world observes Suicide Prevention Day. It is to raise awareness on the need not to see suicide as the way out of life's problems. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among 30-year-olds globally and occurs throughout the lifespan. In Ghana, health experts, advocates and professionals are calling for the decriminalization of suicide as well as family and societal support for persons who may have suicidal thoughts. They believe decriminalizing suicide will help save lives and reduce stigma.
The World Health Organization, WHO, says more than 700,000 people commit suicide every day. For every suicide, there are many more people who do attempt to take their lives. A prior suicide attempt is the single most important risk factor for suicide in the general population. Suicide is the fourth leading cause of death in 15 to 18 years olds. 77% of global suicides occur in low and middle income countries. Ingestion of pesticide, hanging and firearms are some of the most common methods of suicide globally. Health experts cite marital or relationship issues, family problems, financial challenges as well as depression, bipolar and other psychosocial mental health disorders as common triggers for the commission of suicide. Cecilia has survived a suicide attempt and tells me the pain of the death of both her mother and twin sister brought about countless suicidal thoughts at a tender age of 11. Cecilia was later in life diagnosed with bipolar, a mental health personality mood condition that needs psychosocial care.
Okay, I started reading more about my condition, started reading inspirational quotes, and it inspired me a lot to try one more time. So that has been my slogan now, that I will try one more time. Each day I will try one day at a time.
Cecilia now believes suicide is not an option and should never be. She entreats all to seek help and support in such situations.
And with the support groups, they are in a form of WhatsApp groups with similar conditions, similar stories. They come there, they share. We even sometimes have a day to take inspiration, to also help someone somewhere.
In our quest for answers on some of these psychosocial conditions that may trigger suicidal thoughts, a resident psychiatry officer at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, Dr. Victor Ogo, said there are multi-factors that bring on suicidal thoughts. He said more women attempt to take their lives, but the men succeed in taking their lives.
Any chronic medical condition can lead to depression, which can lead to the person getting suicidal ideations. To have other chronic conditions, autoimmune diseases, even somebody with a heart attack and stroke can have suicidal ideations.
Suicide still remains a criminal offense in 20 countries across the globe, and Ghana is no different, with some laws dating as far back as 160 years. The acting head of promotions at the Mental Health Authority, Dr. Yamankwa Arthur, believes decriminalizing suicide in Ghana would rather move people to seek help in the moment of acute crisis rather than the current state where people are deterred.
When we've educated families that these are the warning signs, in the first place, the person will not even attempt to do it. But in case that person is able to outwit everybody and attempt and he or she fails, there is a strategy in place. There's that rehabilitation support there. That person can be taken through to recover and come back to life and contribute back to society.
Experts say there is always help, and suicide should never be the option to end one's life due to problems they may be facing as they navigate life. For GBC News, Mavis Ofe Champo reporting.
Still on suicide, the Mental Health Authority says a total of 417 Ghanaians attempted suicide from January to June this year. In 2018, the number of people who attempted suicide was 797. The numbers increased to 880 in 2019. However, it dropped to 777 in 2020. The staggering figure for the half year of 2021 is of great concern as there are daily reports of suicide in the media. Via Zoom, we have the head of the psychiatry unit at the Komfo Anochi Teaching Hospital and Vice President of the Psychiatric Association of Ghana, Dr. Ruth Owusu, to shed more light on the issue. Hello, good afternoon, Doctor. Doctor, if you can hear me, why will anybody want to end his life?
Naturally, human beings move towards life a little bit. When you are in any space and there is a fire outbreak, there is any danger, the reflex action is that everybody moves towards safety. So for somebody to want to take their life, certainly something has shifted from the norm to the unusual. And several studies that have been conducted have shown that most of the time when people attempt suicide, there are underlying untreated mental conditions.
Now, so how prevalent is the issue of suicide in the country?
I'm not sure the current value yet, but worldwide, WHO has said that every 40 seconds someone dies from suicide, and that is very serious. I mean, when you take even 2 minutes, it means that you are losing almost 2 or 3 people to suicide somewhere in some country, somewhere in this world, and this is really disturbing.
Do we have early warning signs at this point when someone is contemplating suicide?
Certainly, there are several warning signs, and I believe that as we mark this Suicide Awareness Week, everyone should arm themselves with these red flags or these warning signs, some of which are when people come complaining, I'm tired of life, I am not making it, I don't see the reason why I'm living. When people openly profess some of these things, it is a warning sign. In fact, this pandemic has come to even worsen the economic situation. People are losing their jobs, monies are not flowing in as it should. And we are in times when people are likely to give up. And so when you get people openly complaining or verbally talking about some of these things, it should come across as a red flag. Other warning signs are when people suddenly start abusing substances, they are drinking a lot, or suddenly they are setting their house in order. They come to you as a friend and they say that, well, when I'm not there, I have put my bank account here, I have put my PIN here, I have put this property here, take care of it for me. It should raise your eyebrow that this could be a warning sign. There are other times that people will suddenly withdraw. You might be on any social media group with a person. Akosia left the WhatsApp page. Akosia left this Facebook group page. They are not responding to your phone calls. They are not responding to your text messages. Don't take it as if the person is just giving you attitude or they have just become unfriendly. They could be battling with some challenges that can push them into suicide, and these are all the warning signs that all of us should take note, and not just take note, but take action collectively to save people's lives. So, starting a conversation with such people about suicide will really help.
So first as a family and then as society, what kind of support do we give to people who have suicidal thoughts?
So as family members, we should not...
Hello, doctor.
Yes, I can hear you. Behind the issues about suicide, but openly talk about it in the family so that people can open up, those who are suffering can open up and get the right help. As a society, we should not stigmatize against loved ones who have lost their family members to suicide. If we do that, subsequently, it will be difficult for people to openly get help. And as a country, we should move towards decriminalizing suicide attempt so that it will not be a crime to attempt to kill yourself and not die, but rather you would get help for whatever underlying condition that there was.
That brings me to my question. How far as a country or as health experts have you gone with advocacy for the decriminalization of suicide?
I believe the Mental Health Authority, all mental health fraternity, Psychiatric Association of Ghana, Mental Advocacy, are all groups, Psychological Association of Ghana, these are all groups teaming up and working together to make sure that this law is repealed once and for all. And steps have been taken in previous years to educate the legal group or the lawyers, the judges, the policemen, and even parliamentarians. And I believe that sooner than later, this criminalization of suicide attempt will be scraped out of the Ghanaian law.
All right, so we know the Mental Health Authority introduced a suicide prevention hotline. How beneficial has that temporary hotline been to us? Has there been any improvement of people calling about their state, mental state?
It has been very useful, and I get calls referred to me from MHA all the time, especially the person is from my region. We hope that more of the telecom give short toll-free lines with which people can call from everywhere in this country. You know, some of the networks do not get to some parts of the country, but if we have all the telecommunication companies coming on board, giving us toll-free lines, that we can even give help virtually online to people, it will even make things better. For now, those toll-free lines have worked. They have really supported people who are dealing with suicide.
Would you suggest that a person with suicidal thoughts sees a school administrator or a religious leader, or would you also suggest that they come straight to see a mental health expert?
Mental health experts may not be readily available all the time, as we know, in the country. But schools all over have been equipped with counseling, school counselors who have been attached to all schools. I think that they are a very good source of first point of call and source of help for patients who may be battling with suicide attempt or suicide thoughts. And once they get to them, if it is beyond them, they can always refer to the appropriate quarters.
Now, how do we scale up education on mental health in Ghana, especially considering the increases in mental health and suicide tendencies in the country?
What the media is doing now is one of the ways, which is very good, and I believe that in our basic school curriculum, basic school education curriculum, we can inculcate subjects on mental health. In our basic sciences subject, there should be a model on mental health, so that very early in the individual's education and an academic ladder, they would be equipped with knowledge of mental health. It will go a long way to remove stigma that goes with mental health and let people get early help.
Now, finally, before you go, the Mental Health Act was passed in March 2012. Do we have challenges affecting its effective implementation?
Certainly, there are a couple of challenges. The Mental Health Act has come a long way, but we are still waiting for the mental health levy to be passed, which will give enough funds for the smooth running of the activities of the Mental Health Authority and for mental health promotion in the country as a whole.
Besides that, what has also affected the effective implementation of this law?
I think generally the stigma that goes with mental health is a big issue. When you mention mental health, everybody relegates it to the background. But if we put measures in place, measures like putting it in the education curriculum, openly talking about it in our churches, in our schools, it will take that stigma away, and mental health will be as important as malaria, will be as important as HIV, will be as important as tuberculosis, hypertension, cardiovascular diseases. And because once WHO said that there is no health without mental health, and so you cannot be well in your heart, in your liver, in your kidney, and then your mind is not well. You have to be well as a whole. And so people and policymakers should give equal attention to mental health as they give to physical health.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruth Owusu-Antwi. That's how time will allow for. We've been speaking to the Vice President of the Psychiatric Association of Ghana, Dr. Ruth Owusu-Antwi, on today's celebration of suicide prevention. You're still watching News Hour live on GBC News, your news and governance channel. President Akufo-Addo has inaugurated the first agro-processing factory at Adonkwanta in the Karachi East municipality of the Oti region. The 10 million Ghana cedi factory is under government's one district, one factory flagship policy. The president also inspected some ongoing developmental projects in the region as part of a day's tour of the Oti region.
President Akufo-Addo's first point of call in the Oti region was at Donkwanta, where he inaugurated a 10 million Ghana cedi agro-processing factory under the One District, One Factory initiative by his administration. The factory's core business will be to process yam into chips and cassava into flour. The president then interacted with members of the Oti Regional House of Chiefs. The president of the House of Chiefs, Nana Imprabesimuna, commended President Akufo-Addo for his good works and appealed for their share of developmental legacies. Some sector ministers took turns to brief members of the House on some ongoing developmental projects under their sectors in the region. President Akufo-Addo assured the people of the region that their desire to have a bridge over the Oti River will materialize, adding that Oti will see a major development under his regime. The president then inspected ongoing infrastructural works in the region. These include the Oti Regional Administrative Office in the Karachi East Municipality, the Regional Education Office at Jasika in the Buim constituency, the Regional Health Administrative Office at Rara in the Biakoya District, Regional Agriculture Office at Nkwanta South Municipality of the Oti region, among others.
Still in news, about 5.7 million Ghanaians are expected to be provided with potable water by 2023. To this end, the Ministry for Sanitation and Water Resources is urging all contractors working on the construction of 7 major water supply systems in the country to work speedily to meet the completion schedule. The sector minister, Madam Cecilia Dapar, made this remark when she inspected ongoing construction work on the Keta water supply and expansion project at Agodome in the southern districts of the Volta region. President Akufo-Addo in 2020 cut the sword for the €85 million rehabilitation and expansion of the Keta water supply system to ensure continuous water supply to meet the growing demands of the area. The project will, among others, have booster station, storage tanks, a rehabilitated and extended distribution pipes of 100 kilometers and is expected to produce about 40,000 cubic meters per day. When completed, it is expected to provide water to over 420,000 people in 3 districts including Keta Municipality, Anglogan and Southong districts. The tour by the sector minister, Madam Cecilia Dapar, and her entourage was to inspect progress of work and see how best to address challenges identified. According to the contractors working on the project, Messrs. Lesico Infrastructures SRL, the detailed design and substructure works have been completed and major construction works will begin soon. Madam Cecilia Dapar said government plans to make water accessible to over 5.7 million Ghanaians in an effort at achieving SDG 6 through its water for all policy. She urged the contractors to pay attention to local content needed.
Government will, by 2023, put 5.7 million citizens onto our water supply. I am proud to say the government is on track to achieve SDG 6 for sanitation and water. It is the policy of government to make sure that all villages, hamlets and towns on routes of our projects are served. They also deserve the good potable water that we produce. We pray that the 30 months given for the execution of the project will be adhered to.
Funding for the project is through a loan agreement between the government of Ghana and the Deutsche Bank of Germany with support from the Italian Export Credits Agency. You're still watching News Hour live on GBC News. Farmers in the Upper East region who cultivated maize along the White Volta are currently harvesting. However, others who adhere to warnings from NADMO not to do so because of the anticipated annual spillage of the Bagri and Kopienga dams in Burkina Faso are worried. To them, they have just been deprived of their income since the spillage is nowhere in sight. Our Upper East regional correspondent Samuel Ayama is in the studio to update us on the situation on the ground. Welcome to Accra.
Thank you.
How are you finding Accra?
It's okay. I'm feeling at home.
You're feeling at home.
Yes.
Now let's talk about Upper East region and the spillage of the dam. Even though Sanobel, managers of the dam, have not spilled the dam yet, we hear there are floods in that region. How is the situation now?
For the floods we recorded recently, it was as a result of the torrential rains. You move to Sandema, that is the capital of the Bulsa North municipality. They had these floods because the township is lying in a lowland area, and then because of that, each time like we record heavy rains, they normally have these floods in the township, because when you are entering, you realize that the drainage system is not well constructed. I'm sure that was the reason.
This is something that happens almost every year.
Yes.
So every year we talk about floods. Every year the people are supposed to move. Isn't that worrying to the people who live in Sandema in these environments?
Yes, they are really worried about it, because when you look at the situation, it doesn't affect the township alone. It affects the road network too as well, because the place is it's a muddy area. So that is the reason we have a lot of farming activities, particularly maize, in that part of the region.
So how has the floods impacted on economic activity in the area? What are they known for? First of all, what are they known for to cultivate, and how has it impacted on economic activities?
Yeah, when you move to Sandema, for instance, what they do there is as a result of like the farming activities there has to do with maize, millets. They are into groundnut cultivation, and most of them also are into rice production, because they have a lot of valleys in that area. Even though it is like Sandema, that is the Bulsa North, and we have the Bulsa South. Bulsa South is the Fobisi. They are just like they were separated in 2012. So these rice that we've been having, or like the production in the Upper East, they produce chunk of these rice that we are all enjoying in this country. So it is really impacting on their activities, because as we speak, most of the roads are washed away by these floods, and it's like most of the roads are not more trouble. So farmers cutting their farm produce and sending them to the market centers has been a very serious challenge.
How has it also affected government's one district, one factory initiative, or planting for food and jobs? Because you've spoken about roads. What are the other impacts on government's policies?
Yeah, for the, most of them, like when you go to this Sandema, for instance, they are all farmers. Most of them, like, they are into farming. So, and almost about 90% of these people who are farming registered under the Planting for Food and Jobs. So now that their roads have been washed away, some farmlands closer to where the township got flooded were submerged by these floods. So it means they are going to lose part of their production. So it has really affected their activities, especially it has impacted negatively on their economic activities, because when you look at the grounds now, they depend, most of the communities, like most of the women, they come to the Sandema market. When during the floods, they could not come to the market. So it was a serious challenge. And then assessing the Sandema District Hospital, the hospital serves almost all the communities in the area. As we speak, Busa South is a district on its own, but when now it doesn't have a district, it's in a district hospital. They all come to Sandema Township, and then Wiega Health Center. There is just in the Catholic Wiega health facility there, that they rely on this healthcare activity. So it has really affected the people in the area. But as we speak, the water has receded.
You've spoken about. I'm sure it has also impacted on education as well, because it's flooded and children are not going to school, even though the people down here are in school.
Yeah, that was the true picture there, because when you look at, there is a community, it's a cluster of communities, Kore Alabayiri, in the Bulsa North municipality. When you are moving to this community, they have chiefs compounds there, they have some basic schools there. During the floods, they were completely cut off. Those who commute to these schools or those who go to these these facilities to access healthcare were not able to go. So in these roads, most of them were washed away way back in 2015, 2016. Some of them have been awarded on contract. Some, the contractors moved to site, and then they moved out of site when immediately after the 2020 elections. It has been a very serious situation in the region. And recently, there is one phenomenon. It's like it is something that is happening under all successive governments. When immediately the contractors in the region realize that a sector minister, the president or the vice president is coming, you see all the contractors, they will rush to site. When they leave, they also leave. The recent visit, the Sandema floods, the minister for roads and highways, Mr. Amwakwanta, came there to have first-hand information about whatever that was happening there. Then when they heard it was coming, the contractors moved to site. Immediately he left, they also left. So it's a serious situation.
Are there no mechanisms where residents can report these contractors, or even the regional minister should know what is happening on the ground?
I'm not sure they are not privy to this issue. They are all aware. It's not happening under this government alone. Previous government, that has been the situation. They are there when they realize that the president or the sector minister is coming, especially road minister is coming, or any project that they are executing. If they realize that the minister responsible for that project is coming, they rush there. The only project that we've not, and they have been working on it, whether a sector minister is coming or not coming, is the Tono irrigation project, and then the Tono dam, the rehabilitation of these projects. This has been the project that we realize that
being worked on.
They don't wait for a sector minister to come before they continue. They are there working there to ensure successful completion.
So do you know of when the Bagri and Kompienga dams are going to be spilled? Because they brought us a date, there was a date, they didn't spill it. We are still waiting for them to spill. Yeah,
they told us that they were to start the spilling of this dam on the 27th to 30th August 2021. It didn't happen, and they have a benchmark. They were saying that the level of the water in the dam, it must rise to a certain level. This year, they were expecting that it should get to 234.75 meters before they start the spilling. That is for the Bagri Dam. For the Kompienga Dam, they have not been spilling for some time now. And as we speak, as of yesterday, the level of water in the Bagri Dam was still it had reduced, because previously it went to 234.48, but yesterday it has reduced and it's now 234.46 meters. Okay. So until it rises or get to 234.75, they are not going to do the spilling. for now. But when you go to the white voter, you realize that the water has kept on reducing. And the fortunate thing that we have is that for some time now, we've not been recording rains in the Upper East region.
So I think that would be good news for residents in the Upper East region, especially when they are expecting the dam to rise, but it's rather decreasing.
Yes, because when we moved there about 3 weeks ago, we realized that most of the crops on the white voter, they were like not ready or matured for harvesting. But as we speak, the farmers are there in their numbers harvesting. So it means it's just a good news to the farmers. The reason those that the animal officials asked them not to farm and they adhere to the directive, they didn't go down Progo traditional area, now Buhago, Mahami Abdullah, Shirega, and then they went and consulted him. They asked him, pleaded with him to talk to some community. There are 5 communities in the Northeast region that they said they are going to be completely relocated to different places where they are going to provide them with schools, roads, hospitals, all the basic social amenities. But these people are very reluctant to move. And according to the contractors who are going to execute this project, they said that is the exact place that they are going to construct a dam. So if these people are not ready to move, the dam construction cannot start. So they were saying that they will start the actual work at the end of this year. That is somewhere in December. But looking at the situation on the ground, I'm not sure that they can really start because the people are still not ready to move to higher grounds or move to a different or relocate for them to start the actual work.
Samuel, let's end here.
We'll
bring the other conversations in other bulletins. Thank you very much. We've been speaking to Samuel Ayama. Samuel Ayama is our Upper East Regional Correspondent. Still live in GBC News, a 12-member ministerial